There are truths that don't shout their way into your life. They arrive quietly, like a soft breeze through an open window, and yet they change everything. One of those truths is this: you don't have to march toward the future to touch your dreams. In the language of quantum science, every possibility, from the smallest to the grandest, already exists, layered together in the same eternal now. You are not building your future from scratch. You are choosing it, and then living as if it has already unfolded. This is not daydreaming. This is a complete reversal of the way most of us have been taught to live, a way where the starting point is the ending, and the journey begins inside the destination. When you see life through this lens, you stop thinking in terms of distance and delay. You no longer imagine your dream as something far away, separated by 1,000 steps or a dozen years. Instead, you start inhabiting it in the only place it truly exists, right here. In your awareness, in the vibration you hold, in the identity you choose to embody. Think of it like walking into the final scene of a film. You already know how it ends. Every step before it is flavored with certainty, with a calm trust that the unfolding will carry you there. The beauty of this shift is that it untangles you from the exhausting push and pull of striving. For so long, we've been told to set goals, work harder, visualize more vividly, chase relentlessly. But quantum reality works in a different rhythm. It doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to resonance. It listens not to the words you say, but to the frequency you're living in. If your energy says, "It's already mine," the field aligns. If your energy says, "I want it," the field keeps you in the wanting. And here's the quiet magic: when you live as if it's already here, you stop grasping. You stop sending out the signal of lack. It's like unclenching your fist so that what you desire can actually rest in your palm. Your nervous system softens. Your breath slows. The future you've been chasing starts to feel less like a prize at the finish line and more like a room you've already stepped into. I've felt this in my own life. Times when I tried to force an outcome, it slipped further away like water running through clenched hands. But the moments I surrendered, the moments I relaxed into the feeling of it already being done, life reorganized itself. A phone call came at the right moment. An unexpected opportunity arrived. It was as if the current had been carrying me all along, and I had simply stopped fighting it. You might think surrender sounds like giving up. It's not. It's the deepest kind of participation, one without resistance. Imagine a river. You can exhaust yourself trying to swim upstream, or you can turn, float, and let the water carry you where it's already flowing. Quantum manifestation is like that. It's not about doing more. It's about aligning more deeply with the current that's already headed to your destination. And yes, your mind will want to know how it happens. It will demand a plan, a timeline, a guarantee. But the quantum field doesn't work through step-by-step logic. It works through coherence, your thoughts, emotions, and inner identity moving together as one frequency. In that state, the how becomes irrelevant. The right path, the right people, the right timing, they all assemble around you without you having to micromanage their arrival. So, how do you begin? Not by straining to believe, not by pushing harder, but by quietly choosing, by feeling into the reality you want, until it's no longer something you visit in imagination. It's the place you live from. You wake in the morning and ask, if it were already done, how would I walk through today? And then you walk that way. You eat that way. You speak that way, until there is no gap between you and it. The longer you practice this, the more natural it becomes. And then, something remarkable happens. You forget to wonder if it's coming. You stop checking the clock. You stop measuring the distance. And in that forgetting, it arrives, because you've become the person for whom it was inevitable all along. This is not theory for me. I've seen it. I've lived it. And if you're listening right now, It's because a part of you already knows it too. Your future is not a far-off shore. It's a frequency that's already humming through you, waiting for you to tune in. And the moment you do, you realize you were never chasing it at all. You were simply remembering where you belong. 1. The power of inner stillness. There's a kind of stillness that isn't empty at all, it's full. Like the hush before dawn, when the world is quietly holding its breath. In that stillness, you don't have to hunt for answers. You don't have to twist the future into shape or force an outcome to arrive on your schedule. The stillness itself becomes the answer. It is the open space where life, in its own perfect rhythm, can move toward you without interference. We spend so much of our lives caught in motion, in the need to fill every gap with noise, every pause with doing. And yet, it's in the pauses that the most profound shifts begin. Like a pond whose surface has gone perfectly still, your inner world starts reflecting a clearer image when you stop stirring the water. The turbulence settles, and the reflection sharpens. The universe, or what quantum science might call the field, reads that calm as a signal of alignment. In that alignment, new realities start to crystallize almost on their own. I've learned this not from books, but from those seasons of life when everything seemed to collapse. In those moments, I had no energy left to push, no clever strategy to control the outcome. I had only the stillness, and strangely, that's when life began to reorganize itself in ways I could never have planned. Doors opened without knocking. Solutions appeared without searching. It was as though the very act of stepping back allowed the space for something larger to step in. Stillness isn't about passivity, it's about trust. It's choosing to release the constant grasping for control and to let the invisible currents carry you. Just as the moon doesn't have to strain to pull the tide, you don't have to strain to draw to you what's already resonating with your deepest self. You simply have to stop fighting the flow. Think of it as tuning an instrument. You can't tune a guitar while you're strumming it wildly. You have to stop, listen, adjust. In the same way, your life can't harmonize with the reality you want while you're thrashing in the noise of overthinking and overdoing. You have to pause. You have to listen not to the chatter of fear or the urgency of the clock, but to the quieter voice underneath, the one that doesn't rush or panic because it knows. And in that knowing, the whole vibration of your being changes. Your breath slows, your body unclenches. The nervous system, which so often runs like a coiled spring, begins to release. You stop radiating the frequency of not yet, and start carrying the frequency of already here. The difference may seem subtle from the outside, but within the quantum field, it's everything. That shift in vibration is like moving from static to a clear broadcast. And once your signal is clear, the field doesn't hesitate. It responds. This is why, in the ancient wisdom traditions and in modern quantum teachings alike, stillness is always present as a foundation. It's not because silence is magical in itself, but because it creates the conditions for resonance. The moment you stop trying to dictate the how and when, you leave room for the field, that vast intelligence beyond your individual mind, to weave the threads in a way you couldn't possibly coordinate. And perhaps the most beautiful part is this: in stillness, you start to remember who you are without the struggle. You are not your striving. You are not the tension in your jaw or the weight in your chest. You are the awareness that watches the breath move in and out. You are the sky that holds both the storm and the clearing. And when you remember that, the urgency dissolves. You no longer feel like you must drag your dreams toward you. Inch by inch, you realize they were always flowing in your direction, and the only thing that ever slowed them was your own resistance. So, if you find yourself in a season of uncertainty, instead of tightening your grip, try loosening it. Instead of asking, "What should I do next?" try asking, "What would happen if I let this breathe?" Let the moment be unfilled. Let the space between be sacred. like soil resting between seasons. You are allowing the roots of your next reality to sink deep, to find nourishment, to become strong enough to break the surface when the time is right. And when that time comes, it won't feel like you pushed your way there. It will feel like you simply arrived, not because you did nothing, but because you did the most essential thing of all. You made space. 2. Why the process needs to be reversed. There's a reason the old way of chasing what you want feels so heavy. It's because you're running in the wrong direction. Most of us were taught to start from where we are. Set a goal somewhere out there, and then work, struggle, and push our way toward it. But in the language of the quantum field, that's like walking deeper into the forest when the clearing you're looking for is already behind you. The truth, the quiet, life-changing truth, is that you're not creating something from nothing. You're choosing from what already exists. The quantum field is like a vast cosmic library, each shelf holding a different version of your life. Some books are filled with chapters of joy, love, and abundance. Others hold stories of struggle, lack, and limitation. Every possible ending is already written, already complete. You don't have to write the book. You just have to pick it up and step into its pages. This is why the process needs to be reversed. Instead of starting from, "I don't have it yet," and trying to bridge the gap, if you start from, "It's already mine," and let the rest of life rearrange itself to match. It's not pretending. It's not playing make-believe. It's about shifting the signal you're sending out. When you live from the vibration of "I lack," the field reflects more lack. When you live from the vibration of "I have," the field begins to collapse that version of reality into form. I know this might sound like a subtle difference, but in practice, it changes everything. Think of it like tuning into a radio station. If you're on the wrong frequency, you can shout into the microphone all day, and no one on the other end will hear you. But the moment you switch to the right station, the connection is instant. You don't have to force the music to play. It's already playing, waiting for you to match the signal. And here's the part that most people miss. The universe doesn't respond to the picture in your mind. It responds to the feeling in your body. You can visualize wealth and freedom for hours, but if underneath it you're still humming with anxiety, still measuring the distance between you and your dream, you're tuned to the wrong station. You're speaking one language while your energy is speaking another. Reversing the process means you no longer send out, "I'm on my way." You send out, "I'm already here." You begin your day, your choices, your conversations, as if the reality you want is the only reality there is. You feel the weight of that truth in your bones. You breathe as someone who has already arrived. You stop checking over your shoulder to see if it's following you, because it can't be lost. You're standing in it. When I began to understand this, I realized how much of my life had been spent chasing shadows. I would reach for something, only to have it slip further away, like trying to grab a reflection in the water. But when I stopped reaching and started living as though it was already mine, the reflection solidified. It wasn't outside me anymore. It was me. The field works like a mirror that has no bias. It doesn't care whether what you're broadcasting is joy or sorrow, trust or doubt. It simply reflects it back. So the question is never, "How do I make this happen?" The question is, "What am I broadcasting right now?" And if the answer is lack, longing, or fear, then no matter how beautiful your vision, you'll keep pulling in versions of reality that match those feelings. Reversing the process is about collapsing the distance between you and what you desire by refusing to see any distance at all. It's walking into the story as if the last chapter has already been lived. And in the quantum sense, it has. That version of you is already breathing somewhere in the field. You're just aligning with it. It's a softer way of living, but also far more powerful. It frees you from the grind of constant effort, from the subtle panic of wondering if you'll make it in time. Time, in this sense, becomes irrelevant Because the moment you step into, already, you've arrived. The rest is just the unfolding of details around a truth that's already been chosen. And maybe that's why, when people finally understand this, they stop talking about manifestation as a process at all. They start talking about it as a remembering which book was always theirs to read, which life was always theirs to live, and that they've been holding it in their hands the whole time. 3. The 3 steps in practice. There's a simplicity to this that might surprise you. We've been taught to think the profound must be complicated, that the big changes in life require long roads and heavy burdens. But the truth, the kind you only learn after years of chasing and collapsing, is that the most transformative shifts are often the most direct. They're like opening a window in a stuffy room. You don't need to rebuild the house. You just need to let the fresh air in. These 3 steps aren't rules you follow to earn your dreams. They're invitations to live differently, to meet life from a place of wholeness instead of hunger. And when you do, the universe, or the quantum field, if you prefer, responds, not because you've forced it to, but because you've tuned yourself into harmony with what already is. Step 1. See it as if it's already here. This is where the old habits want to interfere. We're used to looking at our lives and seeing what's missing. We notice the gap, the absence, and we try to fill it with vision boards, mantras, and endless planning. But the first step here is to do something radical. Refuse to see the gap at all. Instead, choose to see and feel your desired reality as your current reality. It's not about pretending. Pretending carries the vibration of, I know this isn't real yet. This is about shifting into the felt sense that it's already happening. If you close your eyes and picture financial freedom, you don't imagine one day being free. You feel the calm of it in your chest right now. You let your shoulders drop as if the weight has already been lifted. You breathe as if your life is already organized around abundance. Think of it like walking into a home that's already yours. You wouldn't tiptoe around or question whether you belong there. You'd drop your keys on the table, sink into the couch, and feel the comfort of familiarity. That's what step 1 asks of you to make yourself at home in the life you've chosen. Step 2, live and feel as the one who already has it. Once you've chosen your reality, you move from seeing it to being it. This is where the change begins to seep into every corner of your life. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. You make choices from a place of having, not from the desperation of not having. When you embody this state, it's not about faking confidence or plastering on a smile. It's about letting the truth of your chosen reality settle into your body until it becomes second nature. Your nervous system starts to believe it. Your thoughts begin to match it. And slowly, the habits of doubt and lack start to dissolve because they no longer fit the person you're becoming. I remember a time when I was living in constant tension, waiting for life to finally start. Once my goals were met, I would measure every day against some imagined future. But when I began practicing this step, something softened. I realized I could live as if I'd already crossed the finish line, even while I was still in motion. And that changed everything. It made the journey feel less like climbing a steep hill and more like walking a familiar path home. Step 3. Release the how and when. This is the step that feels the hardest, especially for a mind that's been trained to control. We've been told that if you don't push, nothing moves. That if you don't plan every detail, everything falls apart. But in the quantum field, control is not power. Alignment is. When you let go of the how and the when, you make space for the field to orchestrate things in ways you can't imagine. It's like planting a seed. You don't dig it up every morning to see if it's sprouting. You water it. You give it light. And you trust the soil to do what it's designed to do. Letting go isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing your part and trusting that the rest is already in motion. It's the quiet confidence that the right moment is not something you have to chase. It's something that meets you when you're ready. And readiness, in this sense, isn't about skill or preparation. It's about alignment. I've lived both ways, gripping the reins so tightly that life felt like a battle, and letting go enough to let the river carry me. I can tell you this, the river knows the way better than I ever could. And when you release the need to force its current, you find it takes you exactly where you needed to be, often faster than you thought possible. When you weave these 3 steps into your daily life, they stop feeling like steps at all. They become the way you wake up in the morning, the way you walk through your day, the way you close your eyes at night. You start living in a reality where your dreams aren't out there anymore. They're here, woven into the fabric of your every breath. And maybe that's the quiet miracle of it. You stop waiting for your life to begin, and you start living it fully, deeply. Now, 4. Time as an illusion of the mind. There comes a moment, if you've been paying attention to life long enough, when you realize time doesn't move the way you thought it did. You've been told that everything unfolds in a straight line first, this, then that, a chain of events marching from past to future. But if you look closely, if you notice the way certain moments arrive, how a chance encounter can alter the course of years, how a single breath can feel eternal, you start to see it. Time is not a rigid ruler. It's more like a canvas. And the brush strokes are happening all at once. In the quantum view, there is no too soon or too late. There is only now an ever-present point of power where all possibilities coexist. The future you want and the past you carry are not separate rooms you have to walk between. They are currents in the same ocean, touching you all the time. And when you stop measuring how close or far you are from your dream, you realize you've been standing in its tide all along. The mind, though, loves a clock. It loves to count the days, to check the calendar, to assign deadlines and milestones. This is not wrong, it's how we learn to navigate the world, but it comes with a cost. When you chain your dream to a date, you also chain your energy to a ticking clock. Every day that passes without results becomes proof, in your mind, that you're behind. And behind is just another word for not enough. I know this feeling well. The quiet panic that builds as the months pass, and nothing seems to shift. The weight in your chest when the year ends, and the list of unfinished goals stares back at you. I've lived that ache, and I can tell you it's not the absence of progress that hurts the most. It's the belief that you're running out of time. But here's the truth I learned when I let that belief go. Life doesn't follow your schedule. It follows your readiness. And readiness has nothing to do with dates on a calendar. It has everything to do with the state of your being. When you release the pressure to arrive on time, your energy softens. You stop gripping the wheel so hard. And in that softening, the conditions for your dream to manifest the right people, the right openings, the right timing begin to line up without your force. It's like watching a flower bloom. You can't mark a day on your planner and demand it to open exactly then. The bloom happens when the light, the water, and the plant itself are in harmony. It's the same with you. Your moment comes when your inner state and the outer world meet in resonance. No sooner, no later, and never, according to the anxious countdown in your head. When you stop counting, something beautiful happens. The now expands. Without the filter of urgency, that you begin to notice the small alignments, the gentle nudges life is giving you. You hear the conversation that sparks a new idea. You catch the email that leads to an opportunity. You follow an impulse to take a different route and meet someone who changes everything. These are the quiet building blocks of what you've been asking for, and they've been there all along. But when you were fixated on the clock, you couldn't see them. And here's where the illusion of time dissolves most completely. The moment you feel the energy of your dream is present now, the concept of waiting disappears. Waiting only exists when you believe the thing you want is somewhere ahead of you. But in the quantum field, the version of you who has already received is just as real as the version sitting here today. The bridge between them is not time, it's alignment. I've experienced this in ways that still make me pause. There were moments when I thought something was late, only to realize later it had arrived in perfect coordination with other pieces I didn't know were moving. I've had dreams I thought I'd missed, only to find they had been waiting for me to be ready, quietly circling back when I finally was. It made me wonder if anything is ever truly delayed, or if everything is simply arriving in the only moment it can, the one where you are able to receive it fully. This is why I say time is an illusion of the mind. The clock on the wall is real enough to catch a train or meet a friend for lunch. But when it comes to the unfolding of your deepest desires, the clock is powerless. The now is the only meeting place between you and your dream, and the now is always here, waiting for you to step into it without the weight of too soon or too late pulling you out of it. So maybe the real practice isn't to be patient in the way we've been told. Patience still implies waiting. The deeper practice is to be present, to let each breath be whole, to stop running laps in your mind around a finish line that doesn't exist, and in that still, a spacious present, to remember there is no race. There is only resonance, and resonance, once found, makes every arrival feel inevitable, not because time delivered it, but because you were already there when it came. 5. The difference between wanting and having. There's a subtle line that separates wanting something from having it, and yet that line makes all the difference in how life responds to you. It's so easy to get lost in the energy of wanting. We grow up believing that wanting is the first step toward having blank. That the more intensely we want something, the closer it will come. But in truth, wanting and having are two completely different frequencies. Wanting, at its core, is a declaration of absence. When you say "I want," what you're really broadcasting to yourself, to the world, to the field of energy that holds all possibilities, is "I do not have." And the quantum field, being the perfect mirror that it is, doesn't filter that message into a request. It simply reflects it back. If you vibrate with the feeling of "I do not have," life will arrange itself in ways that confirm that state. You'll meet experiences that keep you in the wanting, the reaching, the almost, but not quite. Having, on the other hand, is an entirely different state of being. It's not about the object, the relationship, the amount of money, or the opportunity itself. It's about the vibration of wholeness it brings. Having doesn't beg. It doesn't stretch toward the future. It lives in the now with an unshakable sense that nothing essential is missing. I learned this in one of the hardest seasons of my life, when everything I thought I needed felt far away. I would wake up every morning with a tightness in my chest, thinking about all the things I was working toward but didn't yet hold. And every day seemed to echo that absence back to me. It was exhausting, not because the goal was hard, but because the energy I was in was one of lack. Then something shifted. I stopped asking myself how to get there, and I began asking, what would it feel like if I were already there? That question changed everything, because when I imagined it not as a dream, but as a present reality, my body responded differently. My breathing slowed, my thoughts softened, my shoulders dropped from the tension they'd carried for years. For a few moments, I wasn't wanting anymore. I was having. The difference is almost invisible from the outside. But within you, it's night and day. Wanting carries a grasping energy, like trying to catch smoke with your hands. Having carries a grounded energy, like resting under the shade of a tree you've already planted. And the quantum field is exquisitely sensitive to that shift. It doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your being. Think of it this way. Wanting is like standing outside a house, peeking through the window, imagining what it would be like to live there. Having is walking through the front door, dropping your bag on the chair, and making yourself tea in the kitchen. The difference isn't in the house, it's in your relationship to it. When you embody the state of having, you no longer need to push or prove. You move through the world with the quiet certainty that what is yours cannot be lost. And because that certainty is your broadcast, life begins to mirror it in ways that feel almost effortless. Opportunities start appearing without you chasing them down. People show up at the exact right moment. Circumstances bend in your favor. It's not magic, it's resonance. But here's where it becomes tricky. The mind will try to pull you back into wanting. It will whisper, but you don't have it yet. Every time you notice the gap between your current circumstances and your chosen reality, this is where the deeper practice comes in. Having is not a reaction to what you see. It's a choice you make about who you are right now. You anchor yourself in that identity until it feels more real than whatever the outside world is showing you. And yes, it takes courage. It takes the willingness to look beyond the evidence in front of you and claim the reality you know is yours in the unseen. But once you cross that threshold, once you can feel the having without needing the proof, you'll find that the proof begins to flood in. I've watched this happen in my own life, and in the lives of those I've guided. The moment they stop standing in the doorway of wanting and step into the living room of having, the world around them reorganizes. It's as though life had been waiting all along for them to take their seat, to settle in, to own the space as theirs. So if you find yourself caught in the loop of wanting, notice the energy you're in, not with judgment, but with awareness. Then ask yourself, how would I think, move, and breathe if I already had it? And begin to live from that place, not tomorrow, not when the conditions are perfect, but now. Because the difference between wanting and having isn't measured in miles or months. It's measured in alignment. And alignment is something you can step into in this very breath. And when you do, you'll realize something extraordinary. Life doesn't make you wait once you've become the person who already holds what they once longed for. 6. Aligning frequency and harmony. There's a quiet elegance in understanding that you are not here to invent your dream from nothing. You are here to tune into it. Just as a song already exists before you find it on the radio, the reality you long for is already playing somewhere in the field of infinite possibilities. You're not composing the melody. You're simply adjusting the dial until the signal comes in clear. This is what aligning frequency is all about. It's not about forcing the world outside to match your desires. It's about becoming the version of you whose inner world is already resonating with what you want. When your energy, your emotions, and your thoughts move together in harmony, the signal you send becomes strong and unmistakable, and the quantum field, ever responsive, ever precise, reflects that clarity right back to you. I've experienced this in ways that left no room for doubt. There were times in my life when I was trying so hard, chasing opportunities, repeating affirmations, keeping my vision in front of me every day, yet something felt off. It was as though I was playing the right notes but in the wrong key. The melody was close, but not quite true. And because of that slight dissonance, the results I wanted seemed to slip just out of reach. Then, without fully realizing it at first, I began to shift. I stopped focusing so much on getting there and began to pay more attention to how I felt while being here. I asked myself, what's the emotional tone of the reality I want? What's the rhythm of a life that already holds it? And as I began to live in that emotional tone, my outer world slowly tuned itself to match. The static faded. The music came through. That's the thing about frequency, it's never hidden from you. It's felt in your body before it's seen with your eyes. When you're in tune with your desired reality, there's a kind of ease that settles in. You're no longer straining to hear it, no longer twisting the dial back and forth in frustration. You've found the station, the melody fills the room, and you can finally relax into listening. But harmony doesn't happen by accident. It's cultivated, just as a musician practices scales to develop their ear. You learn to notice the subtle ways you slip out of tune, the moment your thoughts drift into doubt, the moment your emotions sink into fear, the moment your energy tightens with impatience. These are like bits of static that distort the signal, and the practice isn't to judge yourself for them, but to gently bring yourself back, again and again, into alignment. It helps to think of yourself as both the instrument and the player. Your thoughts are the strings, your emotions, the resonance chamber, your energy, the bow or the breath that brings the sound to life. When one is off, the whole sound is off. But when all are in tune, the music is undeniable, not just to you, but to everything around you. And here's the beautiful paradox: the more aligned you are inside, the less effort you need outside. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to push your way into the right circumstances. The right circumstances are drawn to you because you've become the clearest broadcast of the reality they belong to. I remember a period when I was deeply out of alignment. Though I didn't want to admit it, I was saying all the right things to myself, to others, but underneath, my emotions were clouded with worry. My body was tense. My nights restless. I was trying to manifest something, but my frequency was really one of grasping, not receiving. Nothing moved. And when it finally did, it came with strain, as if it had been dragged uphill. When I shifted, when I softened, when I began to let myself feel the steadiness of already having, when my body could exhale again, things began to flow toward me without the heaviness. The outer results arrived. Yes, but they almost felt secondary to the deeper change. I was in harmony again. Life felt like music I could dance to, instead of noise I had to control. That's what alignment gives you. It doesn't just bring you the tangible outcomes. It changes the way you experience everything. Colors seem richer. Conversations feel lighter. Even challenges become easier to meet because you're not fighting the current anymore. You're moving with it. So, if you've been feeling the static, if the music of your life sounds muffled or distorted, pause it. Don't force the dial. Instead, listen inward. Ask yourself, what frequency am I on right now? Is it the one my desired reality lives on? And if it's not, don't push, adjust. Loosen your grip. Lift your gaze. Invite your thoughts, your feelings, your energy to hum the same note. Because the moment your inner world sings in tune, the outer world will start to dance to that very same song. And you'll see, as I have, again and again, that the music was never missing. It was always here, waiting for you to hear it clearly. 7. The effect of letting go. There is a point in every journey where you realize that holding on too tightly doesn't bring things closer. It pushes them away. I learned this the hard way. After years of chasing outcomes with all the energy I had, only to watch them slip further from my grasp. It's like trying to catch a butterfly with a clenched fist. The tighter you close your hand, the less room there is for it to land. Letting go is often misunderstood. People hear it and think it means giving up, abandoning the dream, or resigning themselves to whatever happens. But that's not what it is. Letting go is an act of trust. It's the quiet decision to stop yanking at the roots and instead let the seed grow at its own pace. Think about planting a seed. You don't bury it in the soil and then dig it up every morning to check if it's sprouting. You water it. You make sure it has sunlight. And then you let the soil do what it was designed to do. The moment you stop interfering, you give life the space it needs to unfold. The same is true for the things you're trying to manifest. When you constantly check, question, or demand proof, you're signaling to the universe, to the quantum field, that you don't actually believe it's on its way. And the field, ever a perfect mirror, reflects that doubt right back. I've lived in that space of doubt before. I know how tempting it is to keep looking for signs, to search for reassurance in every corner. I remember nights lying awake, wondering if I'd taken the wrong step or if I should have pushed harder. But here's what I eventually realized: the moment I loosened my grip, the moment I allowed myself to exhale and trust, the very thing I had been chasing began moving toward me. It didn't arrive with fanfare or on my timetable. It showed up quietly, naturally, as if it had been waiting for me to stop blocking its path. Letting go works because it removes resistance. When you're tense, anxious, or overly focused on the outcome, your energy tightens. You're broadcasting a frequency of not yet, which the quantum field faithfully reflects back as more waiting, more distance. But when you release that tension, you shift into the frequency of already having. You're no longer trying to pull the future toward you. You're standing in the space where it can meet you. It's not passive. Letting go doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing. You still take aligned actions. You still nurture the dream, just as you'd water the seed. The difference is that you no longer act from desperation. Your steps are lighter, freer, because you're not trying to force the outcome into existence. You trust that your role is to prepare the ground, and the rest will take care of itself. One of the most profound shifts I ever experienced came during a time when I was holding on too tightly to a relationship, afraid it would slip away. I was constantly analyzing every word, every moment, looking for signs. It was secure. That energy created tension between us, a heaviness that neither of us could name. It wasn't until I stopped trying to control the connection, when I chose to simply be present and enjoy what we had, without trying to guarantee its future, that the relationship deepened in the most natural way. My letting go created space for closeness to grow. That's the effect of letting go. It allows life to breathe. It removes the pressure from both you and the dream, so it can expand without being suffocated by your expectations. You stop being the bottleneck in the process, and something else happens. 2. When you're no longer obsessing over the outcome, you start noticing the beauty in the process. You become more present to the steps along the way, the people you meet, the lessons you learn, the small shifts in yourself. You realize that the journey is not just a means to an end. It's the place where the transformation happens. So, how do you let go? You begin by noticing where you're gripping. Is it in your thoughts? Constantly replaying what might happen? Is it in your body, with tension in your shoulders or jaw? Is it in your actions? Over-checking, over-analyzing, over-planning. Awareness is the first loosening of the hand. From there, you replace that grip with trust. Trust that the seed you've planted knows how to grow. Trust that the timing will be perfect, even if it's not according to your calendar. Trust that you don't need to chase what's already on its way. When you truly let go, you'll feel it. Your breath will deepen. Your body will soften. And without even realizing it, you'll step into a kind of alignment that draws what you desire toward you with far less effort than you ever thought possible. The effect of letting go is not just faster manifestation, it's a gentler life. It's moving through your days with more peace than urgency, more presence than planning. And perhaps the greatest gift is this: when you release the need to control, you finally get to experience the joy of being surprised by life again. 8. The power of surrender. There's a quiet kind of strength in surrender, a strength most of us are never taught to value. We grow up believing that victory comes from fighting harder, pushing longer, proving ourselves again and again. And yet, there's a point in life when you discover that the truest power is not in tightening your grip, but in releasing it. Surrender is not giving up. It's not folding your hands and walking away. It's not admitting defeat. True surrender is choosing to stop resisting the natural flow of life. It's loosening your hold on how things must happen and allowing them to unfold in the way they were always meant to. It's trusting that the current knows where it's going. I've learned this both in gentle ways and in ways that broke me open. There were seasons in my life when I fought the tide with everything I had, trying to control outcomes, control people, control the speed of my own growth. It was exhausting. The harder I pushed, the more tangled things became. The more I demanded answers, the more silence I met. It felt like swimming against a river that only grew stronger. The harder I resisted, and then there came a day when I simply stopped. Not because I had a perfect plan, not because I figured it all out, but because I had nothing left to fight with. I let myself float. At first, it felt like failure, but slowly, Something shifted. I began to notice that the river was carrying me. And it wasn't toward a cliff, it was toward the clearing I had been searching for all along. This is the essence of surrender, letting go of the need to force life into the shape you think it should take. And instead, allowing life to take the shape that serves you best, even if it doesn't look the way you imagined. When you surrender, you free up an immense amount of energy. The effort you once spent holding back the tide, planning every move, worrying over every detail, all of that energy returns to you. It becomes available for presence, for awareness, for connection. And in that state, you naturally align with the frequency of what you desire. You're no longer trying to drag the outcome toward you. You're matching the current of the outcome that already exists. It's like finally stepping into the right rhythm in a dance. Before, you might have been moving frantically, trying to lead the music itself. But when you surrender, you realize the music was there all along. You just needed to feel it. To let it move you, the steps come easier. The movement feels lighter. The dance becomes joy instead of struggle. I remember once clinging so tightly to a particular dream that I didn't notice how rigid I had become. I told myself I was manifesting it, but in reality, I was demanding it to happen on my terms and in my timing. The result was resistance, both inside me and in my circumstances. When I finally surrendered, when I said, "All right, life, show me the way," the dream still came, but it arrived through a door I would never have chosen on my own. And it fit me better than I could have planned. That's the beauty of surrender. It opens you to possibilities you couldn't see while you were busy trying to control every detail. It allows room for surprises, for grace, for solutions that arrive without struggle. And often, the path that unfolds is not just easier, but richer, because it's in harmony with the larger tapestry of your life. Of course, surrender requires trust. Trust that the river won't abandon you. Trust that even if the scenery changes, you're still moving towards something meaningful. Trust that what you're meant to have will not pass you by. And what passes you by was never meant to stay. This trust is not blind. It's built through experience. You begin to notice the times when letting go worked better than forcing ever did. You remember the moments when what you thought was a detour turned out to be the perfect road. You start to see the pattern that surrender isn't loss. It's alignment. And perhaps most importantly, surrender changes you. It softens the parts of you that have been hardened by constant battle. It makes you more open, more receptive, more peaceful. You stop living in constant tension between where you are and where you think you should be. Instead, you settle into the truth that right here, right now, is the only place where life is ever lived. So if you find yourself tired from swimming upstream, maybe it's time to try something different. Let yourself float. Let the current show you that it's been holding you up all along. Allow life to bring you to the places you've been searching for, not because you forced them into being, but because you trusted enough to be carried there. And when you arrive, you'll understand what I mean when I say surrender isn't the end of the fight. It's the beginning of the flow. 9. The nature of quantum manifestation. At its heart, quantum manifestation is not about projecting yourself into some distant future, chasing after a dream, as if it's out there on the horizon. It's about anchoring yourself in the state of already right here, right now. It's the deep inner knowing that you are not in the process of becoming. You are the person who has already arrived. And when you truly inhabit that place, the question, will it happen, dissolves completely. All that remains is the lived reality of it unfolding. We've been conditioned to believe that manifestation is about wanting something badly enough, thinking about it constantly, and taking relentless action toward it. And while focus and action have their place, the quantum perspective flips the sequence entirely. It says you don't walk toward your dream. You stand where your dream already exists. You align your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions with the version of you who is already living it. And then life reflects that back to you with remarkable precision. I've seen this truth play out in ways that have humbled me. There were moments when I clung to a dream with all my strength, constantly checking for signs. It was on its way. And yet, in that very grasping, I was sending out the frequency of not having the result. More waiting, more distance, more almost but not quite. But when I shifted, when I began to be the version of me who already held that dream, something subtle but undeniable changed. I wasn't chasing anymore. I wasn't asking if it would come. I was living as if it had already arrived. And then, quietly, it did. This is the essence of quantum manifestation. Your reality organizes itself around who you are, not what you hope for. In the quantum field, every possibility exists simultaneously. The version of you with the dream fulfilled is as real as the version reading these words right now. The bridge between them is not built with time or effort. It's built with alignment. The moment you think, feel, and act in perfect resonance with that fulfilled version, you collapse the gap. The outcome doesn't have to travel to you. You're already standing in it. It's like tuning a radio to a frequency that's been broadcasting all along. The station doesn't suddenly start playing when you find it. It's been there, waiting for you to hear it. In the same way, your desired reality doesn't suddenly pop into existence when you align with it. You simply become able to receive it. The beauty of this approach is how it removes doubt from the equation. When you truly embody the state of having, you stop wondering whether it's possible. Possibility becomes irrelevant because, in your inner world, it's already true. This is why that question, will it happen, disappears. You can't question the reality you're already living. You don't wake up in your own home and ask, will I live here today? You simply move through the rooms. Make coffee in the kitchen. Rest on the couch. There's no need to convince yourself it's lived truth. Of course, living this way requires a shift in how you see yourself. Many people try to change their outer circumstances while holding on to the inner identity of someone who lacks, but the outer can't outrun the inner for long. If you see yourself as someone who's still on the way, you will continually create situations that confirm that. If you see yourself as someone who has already arrived, you'll begin to attract evidence of that arrival everywhere you look. And here's the thing, this isn't about pretending or ignoring reality. It's about recognizing that your inner state is the blueprint for your outer life. The feelings you sustain, the thoughts you feed, the energy you carry, these are the building blocks of what takes shape around you. Align them with the reality you want, and you'll start to see that reality materialize with a sense of inevitability. I've lived through the before and after of this understanding. Before, life felt like a climb. Each goal, a peak in the distance. After, it felt like a walk inside a story already written, where each page revealed what I had already chosen at some deeper level. And in that way, quantum manifestation isn't about creating something new. It's about remembering and stepping into what's been yours all along. So if you find yourself asking, will it happen? Notice what that question reveals, the assumption that it isn't here yet. Then, gently shift. Ask instead, how would I live today if it were already here? And then live that way. Not for a moment or a week, but until it becomes who you are. Because the truth is, the quantum field isn't waiting to see if you've worked hard enough or proven yourself worthy. It's simply reflecting you back to yourself. And when you reflect the version of you who's already arrived, reality has no choice but to meet you there. That's the nature of quantum manifestation, not striving for the future, but standing fully in the present as the future you've chosen. And from that place, the only thing left to do is live it. The moment you stop waiting. In the world of energy and frequency, effort alone is never the deciding factor. It is alignment that opens the door. You can push, struggle, and plan until you're exhausted. But if your inner state is out of tune with the life you want, You'll always feel like you're chasing it. Alignment changes that. It brings the horizon to your feet. When you stop measuring the distance to your dream and start living as though it's already here, you collapse the waiting time into a single, living moment, this moment. And that moment is all there ever really is. The present is not a stepping stone to the future. It's the meeting place where all futures converge. When you inhabit it fully, the version of you that you've been reaching for has nowhere else to go but into your reality. This isn't magic, though it can feel like it. It's not about bending the laws of life. It's about working with them in their purest form. The shift is subtle, a quiet rebalancing between your inner and outer worlds. It's the moment your thoughts, feelings, and actions fall into harmony, like instruments tuning together before the music begins. And when that harmony is reached, the music doesn't hesitate. It plays. I've come to understand this through years of trial, through seasons where I believed more effort would finally make the difference. It didn't. What made the difference was the day I stopped trying to earn my dream and began to embody it. The day I stopped asking when and started living now. That single shift from wanting to being was enough for life to rearrange itself around me. The universe does not respond to urgency. It doesn't hear desperation. It responds to coherence, to the steady signal of a mind and heart aligned. When that signal is clear, reality has no choice but to reflect it. Not because you've begged for it, not because you've proven your worth, but because that is the nature of how reality takes form. I think of it like a seed in fertile soil. The seed does not strain to become a tree. It simply contains the pattern of the tree within it and allows the seasons to bring it forth. You are the same. Your dream, your vision, your next chapter, all of it is encoded in you already. When you align with it, when you stop doubting its presence, you stop keeping it in the realm of someday and allow it to bloom here. And the beauty is that you don't have to wait for every detail to be perfect before you feel whole. You can choose that wholeness now. You can let that wholeness inform the way you move, speak, and act. That's when life begins to mirror back opportunities, connections, and circumstances that match your state. It becomes less about making it happen and more about noticing that it's already unfolding. So if you're listening to this and you've been carrying the weight of waiting for the right time, waiting for the right sign, waiting to finally feel ready, I want you to hear this. The waiting ends the moment you decide it does. The instant you shift from longing to living, from asking to owning, you stand in the reality you've been trying to reach. From there, the path ahead feels different. There's no rush, no panics, no grasping. There's only the steady, quiet certainty that you are where you belong, and that everything meant for you will meet you right here. And maybe, when you look back later, you'll realize what I did, that the universe was never delaying, never testing you, never holding back. It was simply waiting for you to recognize that you were already home.